Imagine the following scene. The household budget is already on the edge, stretched as a elastic about to break, and the mother-in-law's requirements only increase. After having already delivered a considerable amount, here comes a new request. Now it's the turn of a car. I've passed 300,000 to your mother. And now I still have to buy a car for her. But her husband, with an annoying calm, just nodded. She's getting older, she needs support. What the wife didn't know was that she had a plan on her sleeve. It was a Saturday morning like any other when the Maximum cell phone issued that characteristic sound. I didn't even need to look to know who it was. Helena Vardiovna, the mother-in-law, had the gift of spoiling weekends even before breakfast. What will it be this time? Oxen muttered, sinking his face on the pillow, while the still sleepy husband stretched his arm to get the phone. An urgent message. The pressure is at the heights, I need medicine. Yesterday I went to the pharmacy and didn't have enough money, I had to leave empty hands. Oksana sat on the bed, misaligned and annoyed. In 3 years of marriage, she already knew this script well. First, health complaints, then the request for help disguised as desperation, and finally, Maximum, without blinking, transferring the money. How much does she need? He asked, already opening the bank's app. The answer was not long, 5,000. Oksana knew very well that pressure remedies were not even close to it, but her husband was already typing the numbers for the transfer. Why don't we go to the pharmacy together? We can help choose something more affordable, she suggested cautiously. No need, my mother knows what she does, he said Maximum dryly, and went to the bathroom. Alone, Oksana stared at the ceiling, doing the math mentally. 5,000 here, 3,000 there, plus the expenses with supermarket, accounts and unexpected repair of the washing machine. In a month, the value was already expressive. And it was then that curiosity spoke louder. While her husband took a shower, she rolled the drawer of family documents. The vouchers must be here, he thought. What found it made her gaping, a notebook with meticulous notes of all transfers made to Helena in the last 6 months. The sum? 70,000 hryaris. And that were just the official records by the bank. How many times have you spent money in kind? Oksana took a pen and began to transcribe the values to a new notebook. The numbers did not lie. On average, 12,000 a month would stop in the hands of the mother-in-law. For a couple who earned 90,000 together, it was quite a break. What are you doing? Asked Maximum, leaving the bathroom with the towel at the waist. Doing the math, she replied, bluntly. Did you know that in 6 months we have passed 70,000 to your mother? He shrugged. So what? She is retired, life is not easy. Maximum dressed the shirt. We are not needing. We are not, but we cannot buy our own apartment, said Oksana. We have only 200,000 in savings when we could have much more. The subject was delicate, and Maximum preferred to shut up, running away for the kitchen to prepare coffee. After all, at 32, still paying rent was not exactly a source of pride, and the goal of entering a property seemed increasingly distant. The day passed without major turmoil, until at dusk the doorbell rang. In the doorway, Helena Vardiovna appeared with her dramatically suffered expression and a large bag on her arm. My dear son, she said, hugging Maximum and throwing a meaningful look at Oxen. Sorry to bother, but I'm feeling very bad. Even at the age of 62, the mother-in-law was a flawless woman, well-painted hair, quality clothes, though not brand new, and an air of fragility that made anyone ensure that she would faint at any moment. What happened, mother? Nothing much, just the heart walking out of unzipping. These medicines are no longer good, I need a private cardiologist, and you know how expensive it is. Oksana couldn't help but notice. The bag was new, leather, clearly expensive, just like the shoes I had never seen before. But you didn't buy medicine this morning? Remembered the sun. Ah, my son, these cheap things only make the situation worse. I need a real expert, who knows how to deal with modern methods, and that doesn't come out for any price. Helena took a box of fine candies from her bag and offered to the Maximum. Remember how you loved these when you were a child? I bought for you. Thank you, mother. How much do you need for the doctor? About 10,000. I already made an appointment for tomorrow, but I'm without a penny. Oksana almost jumped off the chair. At the city's public clinic, a consultation with a private cardiologist was just 3,000. But Maximum, without hesitation, went to get the card. Meanwhile, Helena described her symptoms with a soap opera, and Oksan, distracted, analyzed every detail of the mother-in-law's look. The blouse, clearly designer, the identical clock to what she saw in the showcase of a boutique for 30,000 riaris. What a beautiful watch, Helena. Where did you get? Oksan asked with an innocence calculated. The mother-in-law covered the wrist with the other hand on an instant gesture. Ah, this is old, a friend gave me because her hand hurts and can't use it. Playing would be pity. I understood. And was the purse also gift from this friend? Oksan insisted. Helena stared at her with a forced smile. Oksanina, I understand your concern for finances, I find it right. A good housewife must be economical, but you don't have to be jealous of the mother-in-law. I worked all my life, I'm entitled to some pampering. Oksana felt her face burn. With an impressive ability, the mother-in-law had turned the game, turning legitimate questions into accusations of petty. It's not jealous, just coherence. You say you have no money for medicines, but it appears with expensive items, said Oksan, containing the irritation. Dear. I buy everything used or on sale. Or is it, for being retired, should I walk in rags? Helena said, offended. Maximum he looked ugly to his wife. Oksana, don't start. Your mother has every right to dress well, he continued. Of course there is, agreed Oksana. I just find it strange to spend on luxuries when you say you don't have it to the essentials. The silence that followed was uncomfortable. Helena pouted, Maximum frown, and Oksana suddenly realized she was exhausted from that theater. Well, I'll prepare dinner, she said, getting up. From the kitchen, he heard the muffled conversation between mother and son. Helena complained about her daughter-in-law, saying she was getting petty, that she had no heart. Maximo tried to calm her down, promising seriously with Oksan. Half an hour later, the mother-in-law said goodbye, taking with her the 10,000 in cash that her son had given her. At the table, the mood was heavy. Why did you get her upset? Asked Maximus, eating without appetite. I didn't leave her upset, just asked questions. Or I don't have the right to know where our money is going. Our money, Oksana emphasized. Maximum raised an eyebrow. It's my money and my mother. I have the right to help her. Yes, but I have the right to know how much we are spending on this help. Why does it bother you so much? Oksana dropped the cutlery and stared at her husband. Because we are a family. And a family budget needs to be transparent. I'm not against helping your mother, but I want and deserve know how it affects our goals. Maximo grunted something incomprehensible and turned on the television. The conversation was closed. But Oksana would not give up so easily. The next day, under the soft light of an elegant coffee, she met Irina, her longtime friend and manager. Exenio in one of the largest banks in the city. As they moved their coffees, Oksana finally broke the silence. Roth, do you have many elderly customers? Of course. About a third of our base. Why? Oksana hesitated, playing with the spoon. Are they really as poor as they say? Or are there exceptions? Irina smiled with irony, as if she already knew where the conversation would go. Ah, Oksana, you can't imagine. It has an interesting type, misery cry in the bank line, but they have balances that would envy many young professionals. Especially those who rent properties or inherited fortunes. A client, for example, lived begging for discounts, saying he barely ate. We even found that she owned 3 apartments and had over $1 million in the account. I simply like to save on everything, even indignity. Oksan absorbed the words, his fingers squeezing the cup. What if anyone hides your family yields? Is it normal? Legally, I mean. Normal, yes. No one is required to account for anyone. But morally? Irina shrugged. It depends. You're talking about your mother-in-law, aren't you? Oksana didn't deny it. Roth, could you check something for me? Just to confirm if my suspicions are deep. Irina's face hardened. Oksana, you know this is illegal. Bank secret is no joke. I know. But hypothetically, Irina has lowered her voice, I can tell you if your suspicions are unfounded or not. Nothing beyond that. It was enough. At least for now. That night, while Maximo was working out at the gym, Oksana opened the laptop and plunged into Elena Vardamovna's social networks. The mother-in-law's account was almost inactive, but a thorough search revealed worrying clues: photos in a chic restaurant, toasting with brand champagne 2 weeks ago, just after needing money for the bills. Another image, Elena in the theater, with a dress that would cost more than Oksana's salary. And one more, experimenting with clothes in a luxury boutique. Oksan saved the photos, the heart rapidly. The poor widow led a more active social life than many women of her age. When Maximum came back, she showed the images bluntly. Just look. Your mother had dinner at a dear restaurant while saying she doesn't have medicine. What a coincidence, no? Maximum frowned, defensive. Maybe the friends paid. Or it was someone's birthday. Is every weekend someone's birthday? Oksan, stop it. You just don't like my mother. Admit it. I don't like lies. And you are refusing to see the facts. He turned his back, ending the discussion. But Oksana already had her plan. He kept the printed photos next to the bank statements and promised herself, this won't be like this. The next morning, while having coffee with Irina, her friend arrived with a serious expression. Speak, said Irina, as soon as they Saturday, what is happening? Oksana told everything, the lame excuses, the photos, the money that disappeared without explanation. Irina heard, shaking her head in recognition. Classic, it summarized. I saw it hundreds of times. People who pretend to need but live very well. Sometimes it is proud, sometimes greed. Or both. And can you confirm my suspicions? Irina took the paper with data from Elena Vardamovna, name, date of birth, address, and kept it in the bag. It gives me 2 days. And remember, officially, I don't know anything. Understanding. What if my suspicions are right? Are you ready for this? Oksan held his coffee firmly. More than to continue in this theater. Meanwhile, Elena Vardamovna was not wasting time. 2 days later, the phone rang late at night. His voice trembled, dramatic. Maximochka, I'm in trouble. I received a letter from the recipe. They say I owe a tax, threatened to block my account. What tax? Maximum tensioned. I don't understand these things. The sum is huge, 20,000, with fines. Oksana already suspected. Took the phone. Elena Vardamovna, the recipe doesn't act like that. First send notifications, give time. It is written here that the deadline wins tomorrow. Then send us the letter. Take a picture. My cell phone has no camera. We'll go now. It's late, dark, and they'll come early in the morning. Maximum looked at Oksana, divided. Your mother had never lied about serious things, so far. Okay, mother, he gave in. Early tomorrow let's resolve this. But today I transfer money to avoid problems. Great, son. Just don't forget, first pay, or they will seal the apartment. Oksan observed the transaction to be done, the fingers tingling with anger. One more scam. The next morning they arrived at Elena Vardamovna's house before 8. The mother-in-law welcomed them from robe, her hair misaligned, as if she had been awakened by an emergency. Where is the letter of the recipe? Oksan was straightforward. They took her. Elena answered too fast. Who took it? The inspectors. They came early, I showed the proof, and they took everything. Does the recipe work at 7 a.m.? I don't know. I was nervous, I didn't notice the time. And the proof of payment? They also took it. Oksana crossed her arms. Elena Vardamovna, in which recipe agency are you registered with? In the region. Address? I don't remember. I always do everything online. But you said your phone doesn't take pictures and the computer has a virus. Elena's mask began to crack. His eyes jumped between the two, seeking a way out. Are you calling me a liar? His voice went up, offended. Does your child think I invent things? Maximum, for the first time, did not defend it. His silence was more eloquent than any word. Oxen knew, the truth was about to come out. And when that happened, nothing would be like before. Isn't it 200,000? Elena Vardamovna raised her voice, her eyes shining with a mixture of indignation and despair. And all I spent with you over the years. The shoes, the coats, the English classes, the medicines when you got sick. His hand shaked as he pointed to his son, as if every finger was an accusation. I gave up my life for you. And now accuses me of wanting to live with a minimum of dignity. Maximum did not go back. His face, previously marked by doubt, was now hardened as stone. You're distorting everything. His voice was low, but firm. No one is denying what you did for me. But that does not give you the right to lie, to manipulate, to turn your child into an extra source of income. He hit his finger on the table over the printed photos. You have 3 times more money than us together. Do you know how much our hypothesis cost? How much do our son's accounts cost? A muscle in his jaw pulled. And yet, you ask. And makes excuses. And pretends to be on the brink of ruin. Elena Vardamovna backed away a step, as if her son's words had pushed her physically. His face, once broken by anger, now paled. You don't understand. Your voice failed. The world is cruel. People abandon you. The money gives security. I just wanted to feel protected. Protected. Maximum laughed, a bitter sound, without joy. You protected yourself so well that you forgot that you have a child. A child who believed in you. He took the folder with the documents and began to store them, precise, controlled movements. Do you know what is worse? It's not the 200,000. It is the fact that every time you lied, I was guilty of not giving it anymore. By thinking I was failing as a child. His gaze found hers, and there was something about him that Elena had never seen before, a calculated coldness. That's what I will never forgive. She opened her mouth, but no word came out. For the first time in years, Elena Vardamovna had no ready response, a justification, a way to turn the game to her advantage. Maximum went to the door, but stopped. In the stop. Without turning around, he said, I won't finance your lies anymore. If you need something, really, I call you. A pause. But don't expect any more money. No excuses. And then, with a dry click, the door closed behind him. Outside, the air was heavy, loaded with the promise of a storm. Maximum took a deep breath, as if trying to expel years of illusions from his lungs. When he got into the car, Oksana asked nothing. I didn't need to. The silence between them was too eloquent. She just reached out and squeezed his. And for the first time in a long time, Maximum felt that it could finally breathe. Did she offend themselves forever? Oksana let the question ride in the air as she tidied up the last boxes in the new homeroom. The afternoon light entered the large windows, illuminating the space that, for the first time, was theirs alone. No hidden debt, no emotional blackmail, without the shadow of a mother who had transformed love into a bargaining chip. Maximo looked at his own hands, still marked by the weight of the documents he had signed hours earlier. It was no relief what I felt. It was something denser, like the silence that precedes an earthquake, the calm that knows that everything has collapsed, and now only remains to rebuild. It's not an offense, he said finally. It's strategy. She is retreating to attack from another angle. My mother doesn't give up. Just change tactics. Oksana laughed without humor, drying her hands on jeans. You know her better than me, but from what I saw, she lost the main one, access to her pocket. Without you, she has no way to finance your whims. And that leaves her without power. Without control. Exactly. Maximus passed the fingers on the edge of the dining table, still empty, imagining the meals they would do there, the plans they would draw without the ghost of an urgent connection, of an invented crisis. That's why she will try something else. Something that doesn't depend on money. Oksana crossed his arms, watching him with a mixture of admiration and concern. How what? How to make us doubt? He turned to her, his dark eyes as before a storm. First, you will spread that we are ungrateful. Then we are cruel. Then we are selfish for not sharing our life with her. And when we least expect it, someone will knock on our door with a speech about family and forgiveness, as if forgiveness were a coin we gave to her. Oksana nodded slowly. And there. What do we do? Maximo smiled, not a cheerful smile, but the one who is born of the certainty of those who have already crossed the fire and knows they won't burn again. The same thing we have done so far, we live. Without justifications. Without guilt. He took her hand, squeezing her with a firmness that left no room for hesitation. Does she want us to explain themselves? Let's not. Do you want us to feel bad? Let's not. Do you want us to go back? Never. Oxen tilted his head, studying him. You have changed, Maximum. No. He denied, but there was a new truth in his eyes. I just stopped being accomplice. And it was in this stillness, between naked walls and a future yet to fill, that they understood, the battle was not over. But for the first time, they were on the right side of the trench. So what? Oksana crossed her arms, challenging. I don't know. And do you know something? I don't care. But it was a lie. Maximum lied to himself before lying to her. No, it was not indifferent to him. He missed his mother, not the woman she was, but the one he had invented, fragile, needy, loving. A fiction. The reality was different, a cold strategist, who had been able to explore every fiber of filial love as a conductor within his instrument. Until the music stopped. 6 months after the scandal, on an fall afternoon, the phone rang. Elena Vardamovna's voice sounded on the thread, soft like silk, cautious as a trap. Maximochka, how are you? Normal, Mom. I heard that you see. They omitted an apartment. Congratulations. It must be beautiful. It's common. He was not going to make it easier. If she wanted to rebuild bridges, to crash the foundations on her own. Can I come to visit them? See how you organized yourself. He can. But with a condition. Which? No money request. Never again. I didn't even think about it. The voice trembled, offended. Too fast, too rehearsed. He is well. I arrive on Saturday. Elena Vardamovna appeared with an extravagant bouquet and a box of chocolates that cost more than Oksana's minimum wage. He dressed like who wants to prove something, impeccable haircut, designer fabrics, jewelry that shone as unfulfilled promises. The poor retired flourished. What a beautiful apartment, he exclaimed, walking through the rooms with calculated admiration. The repair was elegant. Made with soul. Thanks, said Oksana, dry. I'm also renovating. I changed the bedroom wallpapers, put a new chandelier. With your own money, Oxen cut off, without smiling. The flushing rose around Elena Vardamovna's neck. Of course with my own. The silence that followed was an abyss. Everyone knew, the wounds were still bleeding. Mom, Maximum the ice, the voice firm. I can talk to you. But only if it is honestly. No games, no lies, no manipulation. Understood. She nodded, her wet eyes. I miss you. Me too, Mom. Maybe, with time. Elena Vardamovna left early, claiming tiredness. At the door, he hugged his son for the first time in months. Take care. And he, against all logic, allowed himself to believe just for a moment that something could change. Do you think she changed? Asked Oxen, after the door closed. I don't know. But trying is something already. But attempts remained only that, attempts. Elena Vardamovna called once a month, appeared sporadically, but the intimacy of before was a shadow. Among them, there was a wall of distrust invisible but insurmountable. Maximo realized, she played the role of the sinful sinner, but she didn't feel guilty. He regretted the consequences of his actions, not the actions themselves. And that difference was an ocean. When Oxen became pregnant, something in Elena Vardamovna shook. The calls have become weekly, full of manufactured concern. What if I give money to the trousseau? For the crib? No need, Mom. We realize. But it's my grandson. I want to help. Help with your presence, then. Come clean, cook, stay with him. Money, we have. She came. He cleared, cooked, held the newborn baby with tears in his eyes and frustration on his face. No checks, no transfers, there were no levers. There was no power. Max Mochka, let me give at least 5,000 a month. For diapers, baby food. No. But I want to participate in his life. Participate. With time. With affection. Not with banknotes. Elena Vardamovna offended and disappeared. Maximum was not surprised. I knew her too much. For her, help was synonymous with control, not affection. Oksana, swinging the little arsenic in her arms, thought about the future. Let's create him differently, she muttered to her husband. So that you know that family is not a bargaining chip. What love is priceless. Come on, he agreed to the fingertips through his son's hair. The years have passed. Elena Vardamovna called on birthdays, sent expensive gifts, but the visits were rare. The relationship was reduced to an empty courtesy, a grandmother and a grandson who knew each other by name, but not in heart. Sometimes Maximal felt a weight in the chest. Could it have been different? Then he remembered the bank extracts, the broken promises, the smiles that hid knives, and knew not. Some fractures did not come out. Some betrayals had no forgiveness. Oksana no longer noted spending on her mother-in-law. There was nothing else to write down. Elena Vardamovna didn't ask for money. On the other hand, in the family budget, a new line emerged, the background for arsenic education. Well, we stopped in time, Oksan said, looking at the spreadsheets. Otherwise, we would still be playing her lifestyle. Until our retirement, he added Maximum, bitter. Laughed. A dry laugh that hurt. Justice had won. But the victory was like ashes. Elena Vardamovna got her millions and lost her son and grandson. Maximo gained freedom and lost the illusion of having a mother. Arsenius would grow up without a grandmother who perhaps needing him, if he didn't see him as an investment. Everyone received what they deserved. No one was happier for that.